wants to take this committee of the whole? We'll get started.
I'll go ahead and do it.
All right.
So we have a committee of the whole discussion, event permit process at Downtown Springdale Alliance, and Jill Dabbs is here. And we'll get this show on the road.
I think the question that I had at the last time we had this discussion was the 72-hour notification, that process. And I was under the assumption that businesses had a 72-hour notification when it just meant that the person applying had up to 72 hours to apply for a road closure. But sometimes businesses wouldn't be notified until after that 72-hour mark. And I was wondering if we could maybe make a change in some way to make it where businesses had at least 48 hours notice.
Before a road closure.
Before the road closure.
So the events committee, I think the way it is now, and Ernest, correct me if I'm wrong, what Amelia's, she's talking about our ordinance. It's our ordinance that has the 72-hour in it, right?
Well, they can't file an application. Their application has to be in not less than 72 hours in advance of the event.
Right. So the events committee then gets it. And this would be yeah, go ahead, Jill.
The events committee requires a 30-day notice. That 72 hours usually applies to protest and public speech issues.
Which y'all aren't involved in.
Never.
Okay, let's keep it that way. James, do you need to speak to any of this as far as the hours? So the 72, Ernest, is there some state statute that for a protest, if you're closing, because I know they're protected. So is there something we need that we can change without getting in trouble as far as this, is the 72 hours spelled out somewhere else?
No, it's the law says you have the right to place certain time, place, and manner restrictions on speech. So it's kind of handled on a case-by-case basis within the boundaries of our permit process. We have had places where people have asked to have either a road closed or one lane of a particular road closed, and we told them no because it's too busy of a street. I won't name any specific locations, but I think we all know what we're talking about. But
Well, it kind of sounds like we're talking about a couple of different things here. So speak more to Amelia's question, Jill. You got the 30-day thing. Let's walk through that and just walk us through the process.
Okay. On the downtownspringdale.org website, if you go to events, you scroll down, there's a yellow bar that says plan your event here. If you open that application, you can open it up and just pretend you're filling out an application so that you can see the application process and all the information that an applicant receives and what they are required to give in their application for it to be submitted to the Public Events Committee. And one of the things that's stated on that is all applications should be received 30 days in advance for community-wide events. Now, if somebody contacts us and wants to have a birthday party or a smaller scaled event at Shiloh Square, not associated with the road closure, we will accept their application. It's a public park. We want people to be able to use that space. And we had a funeral that had a dinner there last week with about 48 hours notice. But that was in Shiloh Square and Shiloh Square only. No road closure was included. But we submit that out to the Public Events Committee also and just give them a heads up and ask if they have any concerns about that particular programming. And so, but for a road closure, it would require 30 days.
So an event like those, like a birthday party or something that comes up quickly like that, that's confined, it doesn't involve a road closure. It's in a park, so our Parks and Rec is part of that. And then the public event, so we're able to, if we've got a deposit or a cleanup fee or things like that, then that's all vetted through that Public Events Committee.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And then I had one other question. Are there any situations in which somebody can have an event there and then at a later notice say, oh, or maybe they have a portion of a road closed, but then they say, oh, I want to go ahead and close more. Can they do that? For instance, I think the other day or last week or the week before, there was a parade, and then there was an event. So there were two separate things, and one was listed as a road closure. I couldn't access what roads were closed on the Excel sheet, but all we could see was, I think, Holcomb, but several other roads were closed.
Is this for the parade?
I think you're talking about the high school homecoming parade. All I can tell you is they filled out the proper application, submitted the roads that they were going to need, and it was reviewed by all the parties involved, and it was approved by the Public Events Committee.
Okay, I was just making sure that it seemed like recently we would get a road closure, and so we would prepare for that, or maybe it didn't affect us, and then it turns out that it did. That maybe the road closure was extended a little bit further or to another street that wasn't listed on the Excel sheet.
I'm not aware of that happening.
Okay.
The emergency personnel has to be aware of the closures so that they're already aware of how to plan a route if a street's closed. So we can't just close a street because we want to. It's all pre-approved.
Okay. I think there was an instance, and this just came to my attention. I noticed it because I was down judging hamburgers this weekend, which was great, by the way. I ate about 2.5 hamburgers when it was all said and done, and good burgers. But Patsy and I were talking earlier, there was a car show scheduled for the street, and as car shows sometimes happen, it didn't pan out. But there's nobody that, we don't have a crystal ball, so we can't tell about that. But they did, I think they opened it up earlier when they saw that. Is that right?
Yes, I believe as soon as Public Works was able to get back down there, they reopened the roads. And I think the reason the car show didn't make is it was raining that morning, and those
Right.
guys do not like to get their cars
No,
wet.
that's true. Okay. All right. So that's the process. Any other questions about that? And is there anything, I did talk with Overton about this when he called to say he wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he doesn't really have any suggested changes for our ordinance. Now, we can talk about, if we need to talk about the 72 versus, but it sounds like for events, we're already getting more time than that. Does that satisfy your concerns?
It does. The only other thing, and I just spoke to Jill about this, was the Excel sheet that goes out to all of the businesses, and it has several columns, and it'll say road closure, yes or no, and then it'll state the roads that are closed. You can't access what roads are closed unless it fits in the little tiny space that's provided. So it'll say, like I said, streets closed, and then we got HOL. And then so we couldn't see past that. So we didn't know what other streets were going to be closed other than Holcomb.
And it's just a list of the streets? Or does it actually have a map?
It does not have a map, but it's an Excel sheet. It tells what the event is, maybe who's applied for it. And so I had somebody else come show me. They said, if you download this and click on this, and so there were several steps. And then she said, but you can send out this Excel with all of that already open so that people accessing it can click on it, and then they can view the whole piece that's in there. So so the DSA is who sends it out. So when the DSA sends that out, if they could send it out already open so that the businesses could access it without either going through a several-step process or not being able to see what's on there, that would be a huge help.
Yeah, Yeah, as you discussed with me before the meeting and sharing that with me, I appreciate that. And it doesn't need to be a matter of policy to change the Excel spreadsheet. And sometimes I know we all have different versions of Excel. And so sometimes I'll get an Excel spreadsheet as well, and it can be a little quirky, but we'll check on that for you.
Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
All
Mayor,
right. Yes.
me and Jill got along very well at the bicycle races this year.
We do. And Rex is going to be a sponsor next year.
I thought you were gonna say he's gonna race in it.
He is going to be a sponsor next year, and he's donating some bikes for the kids that are coming out there for the bike race. It's
Wonderful.
awesome. I'd like to challenge all the other council members to follow Rex's lead. It's just so incredible. I appreciate you. I appreciate all y'all. Thank you.
I did tell Rex, if he brought up the bike races, I wasn't gonna say a word. Thank you, Jill. Is that okay? All right, thanks, everybody. Thank you, everyone, on that. So now I'm going to turn it over to our Finance Committee Chairwoman, Amelia Williams.
There are 2 items on the agenda for committee. The first one is a resolution, and it's authorizing an engineering services contract for the design of the Springdale Senior Center. And I believe Ben Peters is going to speak on that, our engineering director.
Yep, this is a contract to hire Earth Plane Design Associates to do the large-scale development plan for the senior center site on the south side of Emma Avenue. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Ben, do you have an exact time on how long this will take? Do you know? I mean, have you got to do close?
It's too early to know the exact time. As soon as possible is our guideline at the moment. If we get them hired, I would think that they might be able to make the January Planning Commission schedule. As far as construction or as far as, I don't know how long it'll take to build that building.
Try to get it done by the time I leave.
When are you leaving?
It's gonna be tight, Rex.
Next December. It'll be close.
We were initially, and this, they didn't have much to go on, but we were initially, meetings Colby and I had with the CM that we hired, initially we're saying 11, 12 months from the time they began, but we can't hold them to that, but that at least gives you a ballpark. We'll make sure you're invited. How's that? Even if you're out.
I'll move the resolution be forwarded to council with recommendation for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to forward this resolution to council with recommendation for approval. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, the second item is a resolution authorizing the execution of contract, again, for architect services, and this time for the Springdale Public Library. And this will be presented by Ann Gresham, the library director.
Just to refresh everybody, again, this is to renovate our existing public, wrong one. Good. How about this one? Oh, there I am. Yes, okay. Just to refresh everybody, this is for renovating our public restrooms and also for enclosing our outdoor courtyard space with the intention of creating a multi-purpose room that will be primarily used for library programs and events, but can also be used by the public when not in use by the library. At a recent committee meeting, council had indicated an interest in having refreshed cost estimates for this project. Our foundation did agree to pay for those refreshed cost estimates, which we now have. We also have a proposed contract for architect services with Height Jackson, and Larry Perkin from Height Jackson is here as well to answer any questions that you might have about this. So the estimated construction cost for this project came to $1,599,964, and that includes both the restrooms and the courtyard. That if we bid them together, the estimate is that we will save about $19,000 in total. So to my mind, it makes sense to go ahead and handle both projects at the same time, but I do have numbers broken out as well.
So that if the council forwards this and approves it, it would be for the whole project, for both of those projects, the design for both of those projects.
Correct, yes.
And then if the council, Larry, if the council decided to back out of one, if they didn't want to do them both at the same time, fund the construction for both at the same time, then that's not an issue? No. Okay.
Second. Remind me again, the funding for that would be coming out of what?
That would be coming out of our undesignated general fund, yes. I see Colby nodding his head. I thought that's what we had.
Yeah.
What percentage of the project's going to be paid for by Washington County?
At this point, I don't believe we had planned for that. We receive a millage from Washington County for library services, and we had built that into our budget for programs and books and materials and things like that. We had not planned on Washington County funding for this project.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to forward this to council with a recommendation for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
And that closes Finance Committee.
All right, I'll open up Parks and Rec. We've got one item before us tonight that Colby's going to address, I guess. I'll go ahead and read it, and I'll turn it to Colby. A resolution authorizing the execution of a contract for lighting, waive competitive bidding, and for other purposes as part of the 2023 bond project number 23 BPP2.
Hey, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. This resolution, the administration has recommended that the contract be awarded to Geosurfaces. As you'll remember, they were also awarded the turf contract. Our initial estimate on the lighting proposal that was given to us was for $2.78 million. And as we went through this procurement process, we ended up getting a quote for $1.963 million from Geosurfaces. And they're also committing to, in this agreement, they're going to give us $100,000 towards brand new score tables that will go in the Parks and Rec facility, which are needed. And we were going to be looking at making that purchase with bond money anyways. So we were able to negotiate a good deal through that process. And so that's the recommendation.
Colby, I think probably did that original estimate also include the things we've added at Murphy and some of those other things? Were those included in that original estimate?
The ones for Murphy were not. That's going to be an additional contract. We're still getting quotes on the additional things that we're going to need out at Murphy Park.
Okay, so those aren't in this. Those aren't in this. Okay, thank you.
Actually, I believe one of the lights is going to be is in this. But there were some other things that we talked about that we're going to need to add for the playground and some security cameras. That'll be an additional contract.
Okay, because I did see Murphy listed in the resolution, so that's why. So some of the things, probably the fitness court, some things like that maybe were already in it. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Colby, do you know if these are those instant lights that don't take time to warm up and turn on?
Yeah, those are older technology. This is the same company that did, if y'all are familiar with the swamp for the University of Florida. This is going to be a really nice lighting package for what we want. It's going to be LED lighting. The Parks and Rec department are going to be able to control it on their phones. So it's a pretty high level, sophisticated lighting system.
Excellent.
We'll move the resolution before the recommendation for approval. All right, I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, with that, we'll close Parks and Rec. All right, I'm going to open up the Police and Fire Committee. We have one item before us tonight concerning a new fire truck. Looks like for Station 10. and would be coming out of our 2023 bond project. Colby's here to talk about it. We have Chief Bond also, if we have any other questions for Chief. Colby?
Yeah, this resolution is waiving competitive bidding. We're going to be able to purchase this off the buy board. And this also allows us to enter into an agreement with this company, and this will be for the fire truck and any related equipment, and it will be paid for out of the 2023 bond funds.
Well, what would the savings be on this for purchasing it now?
I'm doing this from my phone, but I believe it was around $80,000 in savings if we pay for it up front. And there is a 36-month lead time on these, so we thought we better go ahead and get it done.
Chief Vaughn, do you want to confirm that?
Discount was 171,000 on the paper.
Yes, sir, he's correct. It's 171.13 to be exact.
Oh, even better.
Under promise, over deliver.
Move a resolution be adopted.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to forward this resolution with recommendation for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you, and I will close out the Police and Fire Committee.
All right. If anybody have anything else, then we'll stand adjourned. Thank you all.